Welcome to Phoenixes Rising from the Ashes into Purpose. I am Tennille, your transitional coach, here to guide you through your journey back to higher self, the being the Most High created you to be by revealing the mental weeds that have kept you repeating toxic patterns. Once removed, I give you the tools to heal those wounds and grow back in its place God's truth about you. The goal is to get you walking in your purpose and power. I have available now an introductory course titled, So You've Fallen, Who Said You Can't Get Up? For only $97. To get started, just click on the link in the description box to enroll. Also, check out the Cluster B playlist where I describe the tactics Cluster B disordered creatures use to break down their targets so that they're pliable. I love feedback, so never be afraid to leave a comment on this playlist or my Blue Phoenix Rising documentary series. Season 1 of BPR is detailing how I became homeless. Season 2 will be up sometime this year, 2021, so please have patience. Again, leave a comment and let me know if you can relate to these topics. Subscribe and share with someone who needs to hear they're not alone. Let's begin. For a few weeks, I've been pondering love language. I was made aware of this term in the 90s by my spiritual mother and mentor, Henrietta Hopkins. She was always giving me suggestions on spiritual books, and The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman was one of many. I actually thought knowing how you want to be loved was common sense. So, we all meditate and write down what it is we're looking for and how we'd like it expressed. I haven't changed how I need to be shown I'm loved by a person, but I have changed where I go to meet someone who will be that for me. I stopped looking in general, actually, because I'm just not a dater. I feel there's either a connection or there isn't. I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but leave a comment if you do, and if you don't. But on my journey back to my true self, I've evolved as I've become aware of patterns and healed. Not healing brings the same results we say we don't want, over and over again. Before I really knew the reason why a pattern of abusive relationships were all I seemed to be in, my solution was to shut down. And for this Virgo, that means going into super hermit mode. During this time, I would read, I would study myself, other people. As divine discontent grew, I asked Source for guidance to clarity on what it was I was feeling and looking for. Honestly, as I grew spiritually, I began to realize that many people aren't on a soul journey. They don't even know what one is. They've settled for so many years for how they were trained as a child to see relationships, because it's familiar. I couldn't do that because I couldn't play the game, quote unquote. I put myself in isolation for over a decade. Present day, a couple of weeks ago, I think it's about a month ago now, a woman living in the same motel as me was chilling in her SUV, and I walked past her, gave her a nod because we'd had some decent conversations in the past, and I kept it pushing to the train station to get to work. The next thing that I know, she pulls up alongside me while I'm walking and offers me a ride, and I accept. So we drove. And she talked and I listened, not having, very much to say. So just basically what I was just cautious to and listening to any type of intuitive cue that would say, jump out of the car. But we reached my job and, continued to talking because I was really early. And during work, after, everything, she left, I reflected on this experience and I thought about the warm vibe that I got from her. I've been so used to extremely toxic cluster Bs for years. I mean, people you wouldn't think could be so evil. So when finally someone comes along with balanced emotions and energy and doesn't expect anything from me in return, it's a bit of a shock. Like, was that real or is it another trick? Is it a mirage? A woman I'll refer to as Ogre made a similar grandiose gesture when she offered to drive an hour or so from the Bay Area to save me and my dogs from being on the streets. Her agenda became clear within a week, and for the following 2 months, I would be given pieces of a bigger picture to who, what, and why I was homeless. That involved her and a Mexican gang running California. After her, I didn't fight my homeless journey. She was my bottom on trusting anyone for assistance. Now I'm on patrol and I'm reflecting back on the recent 3 years being homeless on the streets. Had dealt with men and women, either flying monkeys or cluster bees, forcefully taking my time and energy, demanding access to my body, siphoning precious energy I'd built up via spiritual practice to survive. If they looked at me, I was their property and we were dating. I couldn't even go into certain neighborhoods because a gang had claimed it as their territory. Needless to say, it's been very lonely, very, very lonely. And I've only found solace in spirituality. So in a nutshell, she tapped into a yearning for me to be treated like I mattered, when my whole entire life up until that point, with this brief encounter, had been the opposite. She reminded me of my love language. I've wanted a friend for so long in the physical, and this person who took me all the way to work just because she liked to drive didn't traumatize me. Talked, listened, responded, and the silence was comfortable. Before I had tapped out for 10 years and went into hibernation, I was always told that I was too picky by people who were frustrated they couldn't live up to the standards I was living. It caused me to capitulate and let people in who thought meditation was a 40 of Old English, a dove sack, and gangster rap talking about murder and raping women. I was accused of thinking I was white for not wanting to engage in what was considered a black thing. So if I hadn't been homeless and forced to look at myself while God loved me through, I would still allow loneliness to push me to settle. My love language is still the same because my soul is still the same. I just cleaned it out a bit so everything comes in clearly. Believe me, I've had my battle to keep it. But if the spirit isn't right, it's not happening. That's what it means to be equally yoked. It's not about race or sexual orientation. It's about having our spirits at the same vibration. When it is, that person will recognize your love language and you won't have to coax them into loving you the way you deserve. They will do it automatically. All right, so that's all I have. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, and share with someone you know needs to know that they are not alone. There are links down below, one of which is for enrollment into my introductory course called So You've Fallen. Who said you can't get up? I was going to raise the price, but it's still just $97. Also, join the Facebook group for weekly life chats, and the chats will come when we get enough people in there. It's a safe, structured environment among others who are going through similar changes, similar starting over stories. So remember, your blessings are in your ashes. Rise.